We're back at the summer house again, which means more programming. But first, I want to say thank you again for the 2,000 subscribers. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Let's get into the devlogging stuff. So what I want to do now is, if you remember, if you watched my previous devlogs, I made a menu system way back, but that was just in an external project from the main project. So what I'm going to do now is to actually just sit down, work a bit, and try to just import the menu into my main project. So we can just pause it and get the menu up. Okay, so now the menu's in, and now it's all working to the degree that it worked in the external project file. So not like 100% working, but it's in there. So now we can just keep working from there and get it all sorted. But now it's time for some lunch. Lunch is done, and we're now going to forage, pick, gather, I don't know, get some raspberries. Thing is, I was planning on recording it, but I kind of forgot again. So it's a new day, and we are currently sitting on a bench in the forest by the ocean. I'm programming on my computer, and B is over there picking some blueberries. So what I planned on actually showing was that I was going to expand the interaction system so I would be able to trigger cutscenes, but it just went super quick and I'm already done. And the next thing I think I'm gonna start implementing is like custom prompts. I'll show you like pet this or talk with this guy at the bottom of the screen whenever there's the ability to trigger that thing. So that's what I'm gonna do here now, and I'll talk to you later. Hey, Fred from the future here. So let's just go through everything I talked about in this devlog in more in depth. So as you can see here, when the cat approaches me, the little pet prompt pops up. And then moving over to this guy, we'll check out the cutscene stuff. So as I approach, it says talk, and then whenever there's the ability to go to the next text page, it says continue. So there's that. Let's have a little look at the pause menu too. So it's in the game, it works as intended. Well, some settings work, some don't. I have started to implement the ability to change languages, so a few elements in game actually changes depending on the language you set, not all of them. Just the one settings currently, if you see the menu, it says inställningar instead of settings, which is Swedish for settings. And you can also disable and enable dynamic foliage. But other than that, it's just for shows. I'll make sure that more and more settings actually do work in the future. As you can see in the game, there's also a bunch of small dust particles flying around. I've made my own custom particle system which just stores all the info for all the particles in a huge array, and it just loops through them and renders them in one object. I made this so that I could parallax the particles and keep them at different depths from the camera, as well as make them stop move whenever I pause, and make them move at different speeds depending on the global game time variable. So that is unfortunately the point where I stopped recording. I mean, it's a little bit better than the previous devlog and a little bit better than the one before that. I have improved a bit on recording and actually documenting what I do, not just showing it off. And at this rate, I'll be doing like proper devlogs in about 10 years or so. That's cool. So in the previous one, I said I would do a double jump for this one, and I showed off that animation and stuff. But we went out to Beast Summer House, as I said in the beginning, and the double jump animation was stored locally on this computer, so I had no access to it. Dumb me, so I just didn't do it. Maybe for next one, who knows. But I've done some other stuff, so we'll talk about that now. If you've seen my stream, you saw me developing the collectibles and actually implementing them. As I said in the previous devlog, I plan on having a bunch of shoeboxes as the collectibles, and in each shoebox there will be a unique pair of sneakers, and you will be able to change the color of your shoes depending on which sneakers you've unlocked. So that's the plan, and I've actually implemented all of it, the data structure, how you collect them, store it and load it, and it's fully functional. Now I just need to actually add a bunch of shoes and place them at the proper places in the world, which I don't have. I don't have a world yet, but that's another problem that will sort out in like 20 years when we get to the point where we actually make the world. So the shoe boxes are spinning with little white outline when they're not opened. And then when you approach them, they fall down to the ground, open up, and a pair of sneakers jumps out, and this little animation shows, and there's confetti and kids screaming yay. And then it says how many out of how many in this region are found, and what the name of the shoe model is, and it shows the shoe. And then when you actually see the shoes on the box, they have the same color as the shoes that were shown in the animation. So I used my palette swap shader that I showed off in the previous devlog, this one too. So how I do this is by creating a something by 2 surface in GameMaker, and then I draw the original colors of the shoe on the top row, and then I draw all the new colors that I wanted to change to on the bottom row. I just change the colors that are drawn to the bottom of the surface depending on which shoe model it is. Then I pass this shader into a function that I have. They'll put it into a buffer, and then that buffer sends it to an array. In essence, it transforms a sprite into an array with data. And then I pass this array into the shader, and then it'll do its magic and just swap colors, and that's how it works. So that's a nice little detail that I kind of like. And I wanted to do some enemies, so I started working on that. I made a big boy working and attacking and stuff. If you follow me on Twitter, I think you've seen him. But I didn't start working on him. I started on the little spider boys that are like his minions, kind of. So I started working on those. So they, they can walk, and they can, like, when they spawn, they're like balls, and then they deploy, like, jump up like that. Then I wanted them to like leap at you like the crabs in Half-Life, so I started working on that. That didn't turn out super nice, and in the beginning they just whoosh, they just flew off into infinity because I forgot to add gravity in the jump. And then I kind of made them too powerful, so you couldn't fight. So they're functioning, all their functionality is there. I just need to tweak them a bit so they're not super overpowered. But we got some enemies. Wow, wasn't that cool? I'll maybe work on that enemy for the next devlog, who knows. So I made a little special 2K video thing for the subs, thanking everyone, where there were 3 hidden puzzles, and each puzzle, if solved, would give you a Steam key for a game. A few people have asked me how the puzzles were solved, so if you're interested in that, you can stick around. And if you're not, then this is the end of the actual development devlog shit. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye, and if you want to see them, here they are. So the first one for Gris is on the tree. There's a bunch of little squares flashing for a short time. If you combine all these squares in the software like Photoshop, you will get kind of blurry compressed QR code. And from that you can recreate a QR code using something like Asprite and then scan it. So that's how you would solve the Gris one. And then for Moonlighter, there was a bunch of little white and black dots at the bottom of the screen for a short period. Each of these combos were 8 pixels long. So if you took the white ones and turned them into ones, and the black ones and turned them into zeros, you would get 8-digit long binary numbers. And if you translated all of those into ASCII, you would get the Steam key for Moonlighter. And then for the final one, it was a short little string of characters at the end, just before the video turned black. What you had to do was to turn all the ASCII characters into their decimal values, and then just subtract 1 from each of them, and you would get a working URL. And when you put that into your browser, you would get to a page where an audio file was, and it was just a distorted audio file, and all you had to do with that audio file was just to reverse it, and would just need to write down the key, and you would get the key for Hellblade. So that's how the 3 puzzles were made and solved. Thank you so much for watching this devlog. If you made it this far, if you're interested in keeping up with what I do all the time, you can check out my Twitter. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye.